You ask what are or should be taboos honored by cultural institutions. I think to look at that, you just have to look at the fact that this is a really divided society, and that what is taboo for some is not necessarily taboo for others. But the real question is, are they taboos that reinforce the divisions that exist in the society, or are they taboos violating those taboos would actually move things forward? For example, I had artwork that discussed and criticized the American flag. And some people actually found that very uplifting and inspiring. They said it was great to actually have artwork that showed, what this country represented, and it gave them the ability and capacity to talk about the flag. And people wrote that, this was the flag that cops wore as they killed their brother, or it was the flag, the German girl wrote that the Germans carried on about the flag the way Americans did, they'd be called Nazis again. And so having people have the opportunity to talk about that, it did offend some people, but that's not a taboo that should be upheld. Perhaps there are others that should be, but I think the real question is violating the taboo going to actually help people to imagine or confront the world as it is and imagine a radically different and far better one? You also asked, why should public funds be spent to support artwork that might offend segments of the general public? Well, look, I don't think people should set out to make work that offends people, but taking the litmus test of the general public, first of all, I actually have a lot of confidence in the general public, and I think it's a relatively small vocal segment that actually tries to shut down work that is challenging and makes people think deeply. But the question is the public offended by things that are challenging the status quo, and in what ways? I used to say that if black people weren't willing to offend people and the American people, they'd still be chattel slaves. It's like, this is a world where the United States is openly torturing people, and if we want to make work about torture, that's going to offend some people. That should have public funding. That work is vital to society. It's vital to have critical ideas and critical dissent and intellectual ferment, and I think that work is absolutely necessary. And I look at it as money laundering, taking money that the U.S. and this government steals from people around the world and putting it to good use, actually putting it in the service of humanity.